Okay, I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of the modification I did to my Adair tracks. I put little rubber grousers on every fourth one to give it a little more traction on slippery surfaces and hopefully a little more suspension and a little more grip on rocks and such. But it was a pretty simple, although simple and cheap, but kind of time consuming thing to do. I'll show you the next one I'm putting on. I've been putting them every fourth one, so 1, 2, 3 in between. This would be the next one that I'm gonna put a cleat on. And since I've used these, the edges are kind of beat up. So I take my little knife with a little notched blade, which works good. You'll see later what I use it for, but I can just trim off that edge so it gives me a nice flat spot to mount to. You know, get both sides. Okay, and we take the drill and the one we cut here. The tracks have little divots in them to add ice cleats, but I'm going to put on my own type of cleats. I use the long extension because if I don't, the drill chuck hits and I want to go in straight. This also gives me a good visual for how the bit's going in. And since this bit's a little short, it doesn't have many flutes for the chip, so I got to go in about 3 times in and out to get fully through it so the chips don't bind up inside. But you notice the plastic cuts and drills pretty easy, so you're not really putting a lot of force into it and beating yourself up, you know, trying to drill through steel or anything like that. You know, then I just like to kind of trim up the little flash that comes out the other side just to get it clean. Now I'll take my knife and my drill and I'll show you how I'm making my cleats. And what I did was actually took some 1-inch EPDM rubber hose that I had laying around, cut it into short sections so it wouldn't interfere with the tracks if they need to be disassembled, so it's kind of in between the chains and away from the little screws that go through it. I then got 2 pieces of angle iron in the vise, which I use for a couple things, but I will take this piece of tubing and I'll slit it so I can fit it around the grouser on the track. I like to put it this way because then it naturally wants to conform the way of the track. I think I did one accidentally the opposite way, cut the outside edge, and then it wants to peel up on the edge. So you're better off doing it this way. Put it in, tighten it just a little bit, and then you can push the edges down to even it up. But what we want to do is make a slit in it. We want to make a nice straight slit, and you know, if we tried to get a ruler and do it on the twisted hose, it'd just be a pain in the ass. This actually squeezes it up. It gives us a nice straight line, and then we take the hook knife, which I had before, and you can just go right down the center of it and it'll give you a nice even split down the hose, just like that. You're not stuck measuring every one or screwing around with that, and they all seem to come out pretty good, you know, as good as I need. The next thing you got to do is spread this open a little, drop it down inside, you know, make sure the bottom's not going to fold over on itself when you clamp it. And then you got to clamp it back again. And the reason you do this is I tried to drill holes in this to line up with the grousers on the track. And if I don't have it clamped in here so it's nice and straight, I had trouble with my my jig here. It wouldn't seat all the way into the bottom. It would fold, and I think the first one I did, you know, they were too close to the edge, but once I started doing it this way, they all turned out pretty uniform and equal. You know, you can see my secret jig here, which is actually a hinge I found laying around my house. It was very close to the dimensions I wanted. I think I may have wanted it like a 1/8 or 1/4 inch deeper, but you know, being able to get every one uniform is, you know, more than a decent trade-off for that. So you can push it down in and just put your vice grips on it in a couple places to hold it. Yeah, so this had 2-inch spacing on it. It worked pretty perfect for drilling the holes. You just quickly can run through and pop the holes in. You know, and since it's a piece of rubber hose, they're actually a lot more accurate than they have to be. The hose will bend over and you know, conform to the plastic grousers on the track. You know, and you can see they're all pretty evenly spaced from the edge, which works good with the fender washers I bought for it. Now we flip it over, we do the other side, and drop it down inside. Bring that up a little more. You know, so this was very cheap. I had the hose laying around already. I think the only thing I had to buy was hardware. I used 2-inch long bolts, got them off eBay, bought a couple hundred of them. They were 1/4 inch by 2-inch long. Actually, the grade 8 were just as cheap as the others, so I bought the grade 8. I think the guy that had the grade 8, they were cheaper because they gave me free shipping with them. And then I used 1-inch fender washers by 1/4 inch center, which comes out just about perfect to the edge of it. And then when I line these up, I've still got the 2 holes I don't drill in. You know, you can see the other ones are wallowed out a little, but I just use those as a visual reference and make sure that this is lined up just about halfway in between each one. And if I'm a little bit off, it doesn't really matter. You know, if I'm an 1/8 or a 1/16 off, just because it'll flex and match itself up. Okay, so here's the other side. Okay, 5 quick holes on that side. We're done with that. And now we can take this one over and put it on the grouser that we already drilled out. We'll take back the drill and the knife, because as soon as I get this one on, I'll drill the next one out and keep moving on. Okay. So we get 5 washers and 5 bolts. You can just drop them on the ground like that. Preferably they stay so you can use them. Okay, we grab this. Either have in your small butterfly or a small impact comes in real handy. You take these, put it on the hole. Make sure you got it straight, or otherwise they'll rip out of your hand, and it's kind of painful. I've done that a few times, but you just get it started till it goes into just about where the threads end. Seems to have been working good. There we go. I didn't think I could go through all of them without smacking myself with one. If I would have made it through all of them without doing that, I'd probably end up starting to tape myself for everything, because I think it was good luck. But I'm just a klutz whether the camera's running or not. Let's try again. What you want is to keep it nice and straight. As soon as it twists is when it does that. I don't know why that one's not going in. There we go. Okay, so we got all of those in, and I guess this is my OCD kicking in. There's the one we want. I keep making sure 1, 2, 3 in between, and then I feel the next grouser. Okay, I've been putting them on so the heads of the bolts are in the direction of contact with the ground. So I'd rather have the head hit the ground, because I can stick a vice grip on that easier than I can mess with screwed up threads on the other end, trying to get a nut off. Okay, and then you can pop those in, and you can kind of feel them hit the holes that are already drilled out, and then you can just drive them up in. And once you get the first one, the rest of them are usually pretty well lined up to feed in. Okay, once you get those in far enough, you can drive them up, and then you can feel where the bolt hits, and you kind of just maneuver it till it feeds itself through. And once that thread catches, it'll pull itself right through. Okay. And there, I just felt it pop through. Do that, it'll grab the rubber and pull it in. And once you get the first one, the rest of them seem to line up pretty easy. Well, yeah, that one's I don't know why these are getting so tough at the end. They do get pretty hot, so it makes me think that it's actually maybe melting the plastic as it spins around and feeds itself through, because these get pretty warm. But we take and we put another set of washers on the other side, fender washers, 1 inch, 1/4 inch inside diameter, and I use some locking nylon grade 8 nuts for it too. I got all the stuff from the same guy, so I don't remember what I paid for everything. It was probably like $28 or something for, 200 of this, 300 of that, a couple hundred. I think I counted it out. There were, to do every 4th one, ended up I needed 60 bolts, 60 nuts, and 120 washers. And I did every 4th one also, just because of the contact area and that hits the ground. And if I want later on, I can do every other one and not have to pull any out. I can double it and still keep it even. But okay, usually I pull them down until I see about a thread or two. That seems like that's the point at where it grips the rubber good, but it doesn't compress it to the point where it'll dry rot and tear. I don't know, we'll see with time. And we'll see how it holds up. And I guess if it does what I want, that's another main thing that I'm kind of worried about after taking all this time. But there's another one put on. The one side's done, this side's getting finished. I'll make a little video of when I'm done, and we'll see how it works out. If it does what I want. And what I'm hoping is that it won't mess with the ability to turn, because the Adair tracks turn very well. They slip a little too well on some things, but I'm not going to be touching with every grouser. I'll be touching with every 4th one, which hopefully won't give me too much side force. But as I hit mud, it will have a progressively increasing footprint. So as it sinks in, it won't just be this one that's hitting, then the ones in between will start hitting. So you really only get the full footprint in soft area, but on hard area, you'll keep less of a footprint, plus you'll have a stickier track to hit it with. So you can wait and see what the next video is, if this was a success or a waste of time.